Hey everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of 7 Minute Scaling Secrets, where we interview entrepreneurs and learn a secret on how they scaled up their businesses. Today we have a special guest, Jian Ming, who's the founder and MD of Zenway Productions, an events and live broadcasting company that specializes in gaming and esports. Jian Ming, or JM, tell us a little bit more about yourself and your business. This episode was brought to you by Superscaling. Join the Superscaling Ignite program today and learn how you can systemize and superscale your business so that your revenues can grow to at least $100,000 a month with a productive team from all over the world, raving fans as clients, and happy founders who have true freedom. Visit superscaling.com/ignite today. And now back to the episode.
So myself, I've been a 14-year veteran in gaming. So I've been throughout my career. Before I started Zenway, I've started off in the game publishing business. So that's where, even before that, a little bit of competitive gaming myself, playing FIFA. And that's where I kind of sparked interest in gaming and esports, right? And, about almost 7 years ago, with me and my co-founder, Wayne, we've basically identified that, there's this gap in the market where game publishers or even people who are interested in gaming would need support and help in terms of whether it's event execution, live broadcasting, as well as production needs. So that's where we decided to fill in this gap and created this company.
Wow. How do you even pivot from being a pro gamer to somebody that does this? Like, what was the opportunity? What was that defining moment that made you realize that, hey, this is something that you wanted to go explore?
So it started by chance, right? So it initially started as, I was obviously myself quite a hardcore gamer. And then the company that was publishing the game that I played a lot happened to be looking for actually a customer service job. Then I was studying my degree first year. I thought, since I can work like 2 to 3 days a week, right? Why not just, take the opportunity and fill up the gap? So that started off with that. Worked there for about a year and decided to drop my degree and focus on it full time. And then over the years, just get more and more of the different responsibilities kind of get thrown to me. And, I just kind of took it from there. Everything else was kind of just, because I myself, I have quite an ego. So I just had to prove that I make the right decision, right? Dropping the degree, wasting my parents' efforts, back then efforts, right? So so that time my main aim is to make sure that I succeed in my decision. So it kind of led from one thing to another until where I am now.
Oh wow. I went through somewhat of a similar experience. I didn't drop out, but like my parents really wanted me to go to a junior college and study for the A level so that I can get a degree. And I told them, no, I really want to study tech and computers and programming. And that's what made me go to a polytechnic instead. But with the promise to my parents that, I would still go to a university and get the degree that they wanted me to have. And I think that changed my life, just taking things into my own hands and, making sure that I live up to the promises that I made, right? So it's responsibilities that we have or we make and we take on as entrepreneurs, as people, that I think really drives us. Yeah, love that. Tell us a little bit more. You have Zenway right now. How big is the team that is in Zenway?
Right. So we've got about 8 full-time staff, including myself.
Nice.
We've kind of doubled since COVID. So I guess COVID kind of helped us grow a little bit because, we are in this space of broadcasting and everything being digital. So gotten a lot more opportunities throughout the last 2 years. And I think also Singapore being, this opening up so early brought a lot of gaming events. As you know, last week we had the international happening. So I think that we've got 8 full-time staff now, but for us, as you know, we are events agency, right? So a lot of our crew, we actually have about 30, 40 freelance crews that would activate based on the kind of events that we run.
Okay. And with this number of people, I mean, there's quite a lot of people. How do you manage them, and how do you like make the most out of both yourself as well as the team?
Right. So I think working to their style is how I kind of manage all my different manpower, especially nowadays. I think working with the younger generation,
Yeah.
motivating, keeping them motivated, especially for our line of work where sometimes we work extremely late for a long extended period of time when it comes to peak periods. So I think keeping them motivated, keeping them wanting to do like continue to grow with the company,
Yeah.
setting them directions. I think that's the way I kind of lead the company. And also for myself, I kind of mold the way I converse with individuals based on how I feel that they are able to cope with certain level of stress or not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That motivation piece is very interesting because everybody's motivation is different, right?
Yes.
How do you ensure that people on your team and yourself even how do you ensure motivation is there?
Right. So for myself, I guess the main thing I put is that is my employees on top of anything else.
Yeah.
I feel that the work happiness has to be there.
Mm.
And once the environment is right, I feel, at the end of the day, when people come to work feeling positive about, their colleagues, making sure that there's no bad blood within the team. Of
Mm.
course, I think for me and my co-founder, we also do try to evaluate all the different staff when they come in, what kind of characters they are. I feel that that plays a part, especially for a smaller startup. I guess when companies scale and become a lot bigger, that gets more difficult. But at least, or something like in this current scale for us, keeping them happy, making sure their welfare is thought about, caring for them as an individual. When they are tired, let them go on breaks. You have to be able to make that as a manager. I guess you have to be very clear about your employees' bandwidth, their mental capacity.
Yeah, for
Mm,
sure. I think as the
mm,
businesses grow, all these things become even more important, and we have to systemize them, right? Otherwise, we cannot have something that works for a smaller group of people, be something that works for a company size, whether it's 2 times, 3 times, 10 times the size
yeah.
that the business has, without systems.
Mm.
It's interesting that you mentioned that you were also looking at attitude and their values. What do you think are some of the values that are important to you and the people that join you?
I guess firstly, being selfless is one of the things, the core things. Proactiveness. These two are the main key when I look into the employees. Of course, the third, I guess it's more secondary than anything, is their mental capacity. Because I
Mm.
mean, in our line, sometimes when, especially during broadcast, when we
Yeah,
are doing live environment things, especially for gaming events,
yeah,
the margin of error is extremely small. So these people has to be undergoing stress quite heavily. So one of the ways I kind of hire people, it's trial by fire. So a lot of my current headcount, they don't actually just come in and become a full-timer. So a lot of them, they actually have been, I kind of trial them by putting them into different of our events as freelancers first. And then when we, of course, over time, we evaluate them and we realize that, okay, this guy have very good potential, we put them into the team.
very nice. That's a lot of self-awareness that's necessary. I mean, that pivot that you had from being just a pro gamer by yourself as an individual to somebody that's now a manager of people, that's quite a big gap. How
Yeah.
do you manage to navigate through that? Were there any like lessons or any failures or any mistakes that you went through that you now look back and see that as being part of that journey that you underwent?
So I think not too much mistakes, thank God. I think, you know, across the years, we definitely have a few people that we hire and then we evaluate them over the course. We feel that there's not that much of a match. We do, part ways.
Right.
But across the board, I think at least I would say 90% of the people that came in and went, even if they went out, it was on a good note. And all of them, to a point, some of them I'm trying to want to hire them back. But of course, sometimes, I would want them to also grow as an individual. So letting them off don't necessarily mean it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Personally, how I kind of navigate this space is just through pure observation. So starting this company 6 years ago, right, I was actually employed for the first 4 years. And of course, throughout this whole period, I have had different types of managers, people who has extremely high EQ,
Yeah.
people who has bad EQ, but has extreme competency in his work or her work. So I have had a variety of these different kinds of bosses, and how I kind of decided was based on what I felt as an employee back then, right? What kind of thing inspires me to do better? What he sometimes say or she says that make me feel triggered as an employee or tilted, So those are some of the things that I make a very key note of myself on how I choose to portray myself. Early on in the days, I used to be a very straightforward, hot-headed youngster, arguing with bosses with zero tact. So all those experience kind of led to where I am right now. Like when I talk to some of my employees, I would think about how I angle myself.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that requires a lot of self-awareness and a lot of introspection, right? Like, I mean, there are tons of people who go through, managers, whether it's good or bad, but not many, I think, learn from their experience, and not many learn and also apply it in, say, business, right? That takes a whole new level of self-awareness and internalization.
Yeah.
So yeah, kudos to you.
One of the, I guess for me also, because I'm a football fan, I'm not sure if you are, but one of the people that I kind of look up to is Alex Ferguson. So I guess, this guy, he's a very good manager, right? So across I've been following his career throughout as long as I've been, since 98. So back then I've been seeing like a lot of books, a lot of videos about how he talked to players and stuff like that. So a lot of all this observing, that's what I kind of do on a day-to-day and how I talk to people.
Awesome. That's pretty interesting. This is the first time I've heard that somebody learned from a football manager. But I mean, it makes sense because we all learn and have to, emulate the best practices from people that, have already been there, done that, and are doing a good job of it, right? Sometimes even if they're not doing a good job, we can also learn from the negative examples.
Yeah.
So absolutely love that. So I'd like to explore this a little bit more. I know we're running a bit short of time, but I think this will be interesting. Tell us a little bit more about the journey of Zenway, especially the highs and the lows. It's been 6 years. Is there a period where it was like an absolute high of the business, and was there something that didn't go very well and was a low point?
Yeah. So I guess the initial, I guess the lowest point for Zenway was when, I would say, just when COVID hit, because it was just at the point where we were doing a lot of negotiations with different partners. We had initially we projected 2020 to be an extremely good year, to a point where I wanted to resign my job.
Wow.
To come in full time, because for gaming businesses, normally you see things very slow at Q1, and then Q2 things start to slowly, the pitches and everything start to come in. Q3 and Q4, that's where we get extremely busy, right?
Right.
But for 2020, we initially, by the end of 2019, we actually had 2020 first half kind of packed already.
Wow.
So that was like, I wanted to come out focus on this full time, and then COVID hit, everything got cancelled. So, and at the end of the day, employees are kind of already committed, right? It's fixed cost every month.
Yeah.
So that kind of, we had to take it by the chin, right? And just kind of pay them, just tell them, don't worry, things are gonna get better. And things actually did do a lot better. So I feel that ever since second half of 2020, things really escalated quite quickly. So like we were able to achieve like record highs year on year. So I mean that, and leading to where we are right now, where basically start off, I guess the highest point for us was probably last month. Earlier,
Nice.
yeah, last month. So we ended MPL Singapore. So what MPL is, right? If I'm not sure if you're aware, it's the Mobile Legends Pro League. So it was Mobile Legends, as you know, is quite a popular game in the region. Initially, it was done by Singtel for the first 3 seasons. So every year there's 2 seasons, one in April, one in September, October, right? And that's where we basically have been actually bidding extremely hard, making sure we are in the right having the right capabilities, the studio spaces and everything. But we didn't get from Singtel the job, and then eventually I think they had a restructure where they decided to let go of the project, and that's where we decided to talk to Moontan, and they felt that okay, they will give us a shot at being an official partner.
Yeah.
So so we took over the Realms end of July. And we did know what to expect. We basically just did what we could. Of course, burn a huge pocket of money, but investing into the league and everything. But we eventually doubled last season's viewership in terms of the viewership figures, as well as setting a new record high, all-time high. So yeah, so I mean, for us, that is probably one of the biggest achievements as a company. Yeah, and
was this the largest event that you were running as Zenway?
As an individual, as an independent company, yeah, it probably is.
Oh, well done.
Yeah, but because for us, we've actually had experiences doing World Championships. So we've done the PUBG Global Championship. All these that flew into Singapore, we've actually had involvement in them. Is normally through another partner agency that is within the region. So they have like a main event organizer. We kind of help with the local support. But this is like all of us, just my own company. So yeah.
Okay. That's really impressive, and again, kudos to you. I think that's such a achievement for a company that previously didn't have such an experience before, right? Yeah, I think that's incredible. So well done on that. I think this is only going to cement Zenway's reputation and allow you guys to take on even more of such like events and events and run them. Cool. All right. I'm just a little bit cognizant of the time, so I just want to ask you the 2 questions that we have for every guest. The first question is, what do you think is the most important habit to be a successful entrepreneur?
Right. So for myself, I think always run through all the scenarios that you have before you make a decision when it comes to any sort of business decision, whether taking the first step out as being an entrepreneur. I feel that you need to think ahead, plan multiple scenarios of what could go wrong or what couldn't go wrong.
Yeah.
But once you make a decision, just be confident and just go in already, because once you self-doubt, that's where you worry. Yeah. So don't, like, if you feel that you have thought out all scenarios and all scenarios lead to you making this decision, then just be confident and go.
Makes sense. That sounds like your experience as a pro gamer definitely will help you there, because that's kind of like what you do in video games as well, right? To actually, there's so many things that are going on. We have to make the best decision that we can at that moment, and then we have to commit to it, right? If we don't commit to it and we do things halfway, and then either get distracted or we don't follow through, it's not going to end up well.
That's right.
So
Absolutely.
wow, I never really thought about it this way, but I guess there are like parallels between like video gaming and entrepreneurship.
There are
Second
actually
question.
a
Sorry?
lot. Yeah. There are actually a lot of parallels there. Yeah. Resource planning is one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, second question.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to another business owner?
And advice, follow your gut because most of the time you're right.
Yeah, I think that's a piece of advice that's always going to be true because not people think that things can be done with like books or theory or like scientific models, but honestly at the end of the day, as entrepreneurs, a lot of the things that we do cannot be proven by models or studies, and we have to really trust ourselves to make the best decision, right? Because
Yeah.
we know the market, we know the product that we have, we know what people want, and we know the best way to deliver that.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I resonate with that. Awesome. Well, this has been Jian Ming, of Zenway Productions. Jian Ming, if people were to want to reach out to you or to Zenway, what's the best way to do so?
Yeah. Definitely reach out to me. LinkedIn.com. You can look for, Jian Ming or Zenden, or just go to my website, www.zenwayproductions.com.
Awesome. So why Zenden? Just curious.
Zenden just happened to be my in-game nickname from the past.
Ah,
So it has kind of stuck with me all this while. And just a funny note. So Zenway Productions, my co-founder is Wayne.
oh,
So we just kind of took both names and kind of put together because back then we didn't know what to call the company. So I was like, just take the first three letters of our nickname and fix it.
I love that, and it's like a perfect sounding name, Zenway. I love it.
Yeah,
Awesome.
thank you.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Jian Ming. We'll have the URLs to your LinkedIn and your website linked in the show notes below for everyone else. Also, thank you everyone for listening to another episode of 7 Minutes Scaling Secrets. Appreciate all of you. Please remember to like, comment, share, subscribe to this podcast so that you'll be notified for the next episode. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next episode. Please take care, everybody, and I'll see you soon.